It's easy to look around and feel like there's something missing, like there's a key to success that everyone else has, but you don't. We've all been there. Maybe it's the perfect skills, the right connections, or the perfect timing that we think we need. We often look outside ourselves for the answer, thinking that success lies just beyond our reach. But I want to tell you today, you already have everything you need to succeed. It's true. Right now, in this moment, you are already equipped with the tools, the strengths, and the potential to achieve your goals. The secret isn't about waiting for something outside of you to change. It's about tapping into the power and resources you already possess. Success isn't just about having all the right qualifications or the perfect plan. It's about resilience, resourcefulness, and the courage to take that first step, even when the path ahead seems unclear. The truth is, we all have an inner strength that can carry us through the most difficult times. Every experience you've had, every challenge you've faced, every setback, every lesson learned has prepared you for the moment you're in right now. Those moments, the ones you might think of as failures or missteps, were not wasted. They were your training ground, your opportunity to grow, to refine your skills, and to become more resilient. When we think about courage, many of us imagine acts of heroism, standing tall in the face of danger, speaking boldly in a crowd, or making monumental decisions that change the world. But what if I told you that courage doesn't start with fearlessness? In fact, it starts in a much humbler, quieter place, vulnerability. Vulnerability is the willingness to show up as your true self, even when the outcome is uncertain. It's the moment you decide to say, I don't know the answer, or I need help, or this is who I really am. These might seem like small acts, but they require immense courage. Why? Because vulnerability means putting your heart on the line. It means opening yourself up to the possibility of rejection, failure, or judgment. Think about a time when you were vulnerable. Maybe it was when you shared an idea that mattered deeply to you, knowing it might not be received well. Maybe it was the moment you admitted a mistake or shared a part of your story that you had kept hidden. Those moments are often uncomfortable. Our hands shake, our voices tremble, and our minds race with thoughts of, what if I'm not enough? But here's the paradox. Those are the moments when true courage is born. When we're vulnerable, we take off the armor that we wear to protect ourselves from the world. That armor might look like perfectionism, defensiveness, or pretending we have it all together. But the problem with armor is that while it might keep out criticism, it also keeps out connection. It keeps out growth. It keeps out the chance to experience real, authentic success. Courage, then, is choosing vulnerability over comfort. It's walking into the unknown with your heart open, knowing that you might get hurt, but trusting that you'll also find something greater: connection, growth, and a deeper understanding of yourself. Some of the greatest leaders, innovators, and change makers in history have one thing in common: they were willing to be vulnerable. They dared to share ideas that were unconventional. They embraced their imperfections and showed us that you don't have to be flawless to be extraordinary. Their courage to be vulnerable allowed others to see them not as unreachable heroes, but as relatable humans. So how do you embrace vulnerability in your own life? It starts with small, deliberate steps. Have the difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Ask the question you're afraid might sound silly. Share a piece of your story with someone you trust. Each time you step into vulnerability, you build a little more courage, and the more courage you build, the more empowered you become to live a life that is true to who you are. Remember, this vulnerability is not a weakness. It's the birthplace of everything that makes life meaningful: love, belonging, creativity, and yes, even success. True courage doesn't mean you won't feel fear or doubt. It means you'll feel them, but you'll show up anyway, trusting that being your authentic self is more than enough. True courage begins when you stop hiding and start showing up. It's a process, not a moment. And it starts with the simple but brave act of saying, here I am. Resilience is a word we hear often. It's the ability to bounce back, to weather the storm, to rise again after we've fallen. But where does that resilience come from? Many of us think it's about grit or sheer willpower, but the truth is deeper than that. Resilience is born from connection, our relationships with others, the support we give and receive, and the sense of belonging that reminds us we're never alone in our struggles. Let's take a moment to think about the hardest time in your life. Maybe it was a loss, a failure, or a moment when everything seemed to fall apart. Now, think about what or who helped you through it. Was it a friend who listened without judgment? A loved one who sat with you in the silence of your pain? Or perhaps it was a community, even a small one, that reminded you of your strength when you couldn't see it for yourself. This is the power of connection. It is not just a nice to have, it's essential for our survival and our ability to thrive. We are wired for connection physically, emotionally, and mentally. From the moment we are born, our brains and bodies seek out connection because it is through others that we find safety, understanding, and hope. Connection gives us the courage to keep going when we feel like giving up. It allows us to borrow strength from others when our own reserves feel empty. A simple conversation, a hug, or a kind word can remind us that we are not alone in our struggles, and that reminder can make all the difference. It's not about someone solving our problems for us. It's about knowing we have someone who will stand beside us as we figure it out. But connection isn't just about leaning on others in hard times, it's also about showing up for others. When we extend kindness, empathy, and understanding, we not only strengthen our bonds, but we also reinforce our own resilience. Helping others gives us purpose, and purpose fuels perseverance. It's a beautiful cycle. When we are there for others, we remind ourselves of our capacity to make a difference. And that reminder makes us stronger too. The beauty of connection is that it doesn't have to be grand or elaborate. It's in the small, everyday moments, a shared laugh, a heartfelt conversation, or even a simple "how are you" that you truly mean. These moments create a web of support that we can lean on when life gets tough. However, it's important to remember that connection takes effort. In a world that often feels busy, distracted, and disconnected, we have to be intentional about building and maintaining relationships. We have to make time for the people who matter, even when it's inconvenient. We have to reach out, even when it feels vulnerable. And we have to be willing to let others in, even when our instinct is to retreat. Resilience doesn't mean going it alone. In fact, the myth of the self-made individual, the idea that we have to do it all by ourselves, is one of the greatest barriers to resilience. True strength is knowing when to ask for help, when to lean on others, and when to let connection be the bridge that carries us forward. So the next time you're faced with a challenge, remember this: you don't have to have all the answers, and you don't have to face it alone. Reach out, build your circle of support, and when others need you, be the hand that helps them rise. Because connection isn't just something that makes life better, it's what makes resilience possible. Together, we are stronger than we could ever be on our own. From a young age, we're taught to chase achievements. Good grades, awards, promotions, accolades, they're all celebrated, and for good reason. Accomplishments can be a reflection of hard work, growth, and perseverance. But somewhere along the way, many of us internalize a dangerous message that our worth as human beings is tied to what we achieve. We begin to believe that if we're not producing, succeeding, or accomplishing, we're somehow less valuable. This belief is not only untrue, but also profoundly harmful. When we tie our self-worth to our achievements, we create a fragile foundation for our sense of identity. What happens when we fail, when we don't meet our goals? When life takes an unexpected turn and our best efforts don't yield the results we hoped for, if we equate our worth with our success, every setback feels like a personal failure, and every stumble chips away at our sense of self. The truth is, your worth is not conditional. It doesn't fluctuate based on how many goals you've hit, how much money you've made, or how many accolades you've earned. Your worth is inherent. It exists simply because you are here, living and breathing with all your unique qualities, experiences, and potential. You don't have to earn it, prove it, or defend it. It's yours unconditionally. But embracing this truth can be challenging in a world that constantly measures us by external metrics. Social media shows us highlight reels of others' achievements, making us feel like we're falling behind. Workplaces often reward outcomes over effort, reinforcing the idea that results are all that matter. Even well-meaning friends and family might focus on our accomplishments as a way to show pride, unintentionally emphasizing the wrong things. So how do we break free from this cycle? It starts with redefining success. Instead of asking, what did I achieve today? Try asking, did I show up as my best self? Did I act with integrity, kindness, and courage? Success isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's not about the finish line, it's about how you run the race. Another step is to recognize and honor your intrinsic qualities. What makes you you? Are you empathetic, creative, determined, or a good listener? These qualities have value beyond measure, and they don't depend on external validation. When you learn to appreciate who you are, not just what you do, you build a sense of self-worth that can weather any storm. It's also important to remind yourself that failure doesn't diminish your worth. In fact, failure is one of the most powerful teachers we have. Every mistake, every setback, every missed mark is an opportunity to learn, grow, and build resilience. If you can see failure not as a reflection of your worth, but as a necessary part of the journey, you'll find freedom in the process. And let's not forget the people who love and value for who you are, not what you've done. Think about the relationships in your life that truly matter. Do those people care about your resume, your bank account, or the number of trophies on your shelf? Or do they love you for your laugh, your kindness, and the way you make them feel? Their love is a reflection of your inherent worth, and it doesn't require you to achieve anything. Ultimately, tying your worth to your achievements is like trying to build a house on quicksand. Achievements come and go, they're temporary by nature. But your worth, that's permanent. It's the bedrock upon which you can build a life of meaning, joy, and authenticity. So the next time you catch yourself equating your value with your accomplishments, pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself you are enough, just as you are. Whether you're celebrating a big win or picking yourself up after a loss, your worth remains constant. It's not something you earn, it's something you carry with you always. Shame is a powerful, insidious emotion that can quietly seep into our lives and define the way we see ourselves. It's that voice in your head that tells you that you're not enough, that you are fundamentally flawed or unworthy. Unlike guilt, which is about feeling bad for something you've done, shame is about feeling bad for who you are. It convinces you that your mistakes, your imperfections, or your vulnerabilities are reflections of your entire being. What's most dangerous about shame is that it thrives in secrecy. The more we hide our feelings of shame, the more power they gain over us. When we keep these painful emotions locked inside, they fester and grow. We begin to believe the lie shame tells us, believing that if others knew the truth about us, the mistakes we've made, the flaws we carry, the things we failed at, they would reject us. And so we retreat. We mask our true selves. We pretend that we are something we're not, hoping that if we can keep up the illusion, we will protect ourselves from judgment or rejection. But hiding shame only makes it stronger. It isolates us, creates distance between us and others, and erodes our sense of worth. The more we keep it hidden, the more we believe that there's something deeply wrong with us. We may begin to distance ourselves from the people who love us because we're afraid that if they saw us for who we really are, they would leave. This secrecy keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-judgment and emotional paralysis. The antidote to shame is not perfection, it's truth. Shame loses its grip when we speak our truth, when we bring the things we fear most into the light. Speaking our truth is not about airing our vulnerabilities for the world to see, it's about being honest with ourselves and those we trust. When we share what we've been hiding, whether it's a painful experience, a personal struggle, or a mistake we've made, we take away shame's power over us. Telling our truth is not easy. It requires courage and vulnerability. But when we choose to speak out, we start to dismantle the walls of shame that we've built around ourselves. When we share our stories, we realize that we are not alone. More often than not, others have experienced similar pain, and in sharing, we find solidarity. We learn that our struggles do not define us. They are simply part of our human experience. The moment we speak our truth, we shift the narrative from one of shame and isolation to one of connection and empathy. We no longer see ourselves as broken or unworthy, but as individuals who are learning, growing, and overcoming. And in this space, shame can no longer thrive. But there's more. Speaking our truth is a radical act of self-acceptance. When we allow ourselves to be seen for who we really are, with all our imperfections and flaws, we give others permission to do the same. We create a culture of openness and understanding where shame has no place to take root. It's through this collective vulnerability that we find true strength. For many of us, speaking our truth is a journey. It may start with small steps, sharing something personal with a friend or writing down your feelings in a journal. It might take time before we feel ready to speak our truth publicly or to those closest to us. But with each step, we chip away at the shame that holds us back. And in doing so, we reclaim our power. The truth is, we are all human, we all have flaws, we all make mistakes, and we all carry pain. The beauty of speaking our truth is that it reminds us of our shared humanity. When we embrace that truth, shame no longer controls us, it releases its hold, and we begin to heal. Failure is a word that many of us dread. It carries with it a sense of defeat, an acknowledgement that something didn't go as planned. It feels uncomfortable, painful, and often deeply personal. We're taught from a young age to avoid failure, to strive for perfection, and to view any setback as a sign of inadequacy. But what if we've been thinking about failure all wrong? What if failure isn't the opposite of success, but rather a critical part of the journey toward it? The truth is that failure is not something to fear. It is something to learn from. Every time we stumble, we are presented with an opportunity to reflect, grow, and improve. Failure in its most honest form is a teacher. It shows us where we can do better, how we can think differently, and what we might be missing. The problem is not failure itself, but our resistance to it, the shame and frustration we feel when things don't go according to plan. When we fail, we often focus on what went wrong, on the disappointment, the embarrassment, or the sense that we've let ourselves or others down. But in reality, those moments are full of wisdom if we are willing to listen. Failure teaches us about our own limits, our strengths, and our capacity for resilience. It shows us that we are capable of more than we often give ourselves credit for, especially when we're able to rise after a fall. Consider the most successful people in any field: entrepreneurs, artists, scientists, athletes. They didn't get to where they are by avoiding failure. They got there by embracing it, learning from it, and continuing despite it. Every setback, every misstep was a lesson that guided them closer to their goals. Each failure pushed them to refine their approach, to question their assumptions, and to find creative solutions to problems. Far from being an obstacle to success, failure is often the very thing that makes success possible. What happens when we embrace failure as a teacher is that we begin to shift our mindset. We stop seeing it as a reflection of our inadequacies and start viewing it as an essential part of the process. We become less afraid of making mistakes and more willing to experiment, take risks, and try new things. Instead of asking, what did I do wrong, we start asking, what can I learn from this? That shift in perspective can be transformative. It frees us to move forward with greater confidence and curiosity, knowing that the lessons we gain from failure are just as valuable as the successes we achieve. Failure also teaches us about patience. Success doesn't happen overnight, and the road to achievement is often paved with setbacks. When we experience failure, we are reminded that growth takes time. We learn that there are no shortcuts, no instant results. The effort, the mistakes, the adjustments, all of these are part of the equation. Without failure, there is no opportunity for growth. Without failure, we miss out on the chance to evolve into the person we need to be to succeed. In addition, failure is a great equalizer. It reminds us that no one is exempt from making mistakes. No one is above the process of trial and error. The fear of failure can often isolate us, making us believe that others have it all together while we're struggling. But when we allow ourselves to fail and acknowledge it, we find a deeper sense of connection with others. We see that everyone has faced adversity, everyone has stumbled, and in that shared experience, we find solidarity. Failure is not a permanent state, it is a temporary setback. The key is not to stay in that space, but to move through it. Each failure is an invitation to try again, to keep going, and to refine our approach. It may not always be easy, and it may not always feel good, but the lessons learned in those moments of struggle are often the most valuable ones. Failure, in the end, isn't the end of the story, it's part of the narrative of growth. It's the soil from which success grows. So the next time you face failure, instead of shrinking from it, lean into it. Ask yourself what it has to teach you, what it can show you about yourself, and how it can propel you forward. Embrace failure as the teacher it is, and let it guide you on the path to greater success.
We live in a world that often makes us feel like we need more experience, more skills, more approval, more resources before we can succeed. We're told that in order to be worthy of success, we must first prove ourselves, acquire something we don't have, or become something we're not. And while it's true that growth and learning are essential parts of any journey, there's a deeper, more powerful truth that often gets overlooked. You already have what it takes. Right now, in this very moment, you are enough. Your unique combination of experiences, strengths, and qualities equips you with everything you need to step into the life you desire. You've survived challenges that, at the time, felt insurmountable. You've navigated hardship and adversity, even when you didn't know how you would make it through. And with each step, you've learned, you've grown, and you've become stronger. Those lessons, those moments of resilience have already shaped you into someone capable of achieving incredible things. We often overlook the power we already possess because we're conditioned to believe that we need something outside of ourselves to be successful. We might think that we need the right connections, the perfect timing, or a certain set of circumstances before we can take the leap. But the truth is, the power to move forward, to take risks, and to create change already resides within you. It's in your determination, your creativity, your ability to problem solve, and your resilience in the face of uncertainty. It's in your ability to adapt, to learn, and to keep going, even when things get tough. The voice of self-doubt, the one that tells you that you're not ready, that you're not capable, is not a reflection of your true potential. It's a fear-based voice that tries to keep you safe, but it doesn't speak the truth of who you are. Deep down, you already know what you're capable of, and that knowing is a power you can tap into at any moment. You've faced challenges before, and come out the other side. You've learned lessons from every setback, and each experience has shaped you into the person you need to be. What holds us back is not a lack of ability, but often a fear of not being enough, of not measuring up, or of falling short. But let me remind you, perfection is not the goal. Progress is. The journey is not about waiting until you feel completely ready or have everything figured out. It's about trusting yourself enough to take that first step, knowing that with each step, you will figure it out. You will find your way. You already have the inner resources, courage, creativity, adaptability, to navigate the challenges that lie ahead. Think about a time in your life when you accomplished something you didn't think you could. Maybe it was something small, like tackling a difficult task, or something large, like making a career change or overcoming a personal hurdle. When you reflect on that moment, you realize that what got you through wasn't a set of external circumstances, but something within you. It was your grit, your willingness to try, your faith in your ability to keep going, even when things didn't seem easy. That is the proof that you already have what it takes. You don't need permission from anyone to start. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. The time is now. The skills, the knowledge, and the courage you need are already there, even if they haven't been fully realized yet. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment to begin. The perfect moment is when you decide to act. Each challenge you face is an opportunity to tap into the strength you already possess. There is no external validation you need to wait for. There is no secret formula or missing ingredient. You are not lacking anything. What you need is already within you. Trust your instincts, listen to your inner wisdom, and take the first step. The journey may not be easy, but it's yours to take, and you have everything you need to succeed. As we reflect on the journey we've discussed today, one truth remains clear. You are capable, you are worthy, and you already have everything you need to succeed. The challenges you face, the failures you encounter, and the moments of doubt you experience are not signs of weakness. They are part of the process. Each of them holds a lesson, a step toward growth, and an opportunity to become the best version of yourself. Your worth is not defined by your achievements, your mistakes, or how others perceive you. It is intrinsic, unwavering, and constant. The struggles you've overcome, the lessons you've learned, and the connections you've built are what shape your strength. Failure isn't something to fear. It is a teacher, guiding you forward, showing you new paths, and teaching you resilience. And above all, remember that true courage comes from vulnerability. The willingness to show up as your authentic self, to speak your truth, and to embrace the uncertainty of life with openness. Connection is what fuels resilience, and in sharing your truth, you create bonds that not only lift you, but also empower those around you. So as you move forward, remember, you already have what it takes. The strength, the wisdom, and the courage are already within you. Trust in yourself, embrace the journey, and know that every step you take is a testament to the power you carry within. Your path is yours to create, and you are more than equipped to walk it with confidence and grace.